Okay, I'm now going to bring at 7:15, I'm now bringing to order Sherborn Conservation Commission meeting of February 27th, 2025. I guess it's 7:15, with a roll call of who's present. Michael Lesser present. Courtney,
Courtney, I present.
Terry,
Terry Luskin present.
Jacob,
Strauss present.
Steve,
Steve Scrimshaw present.
Matt.
Matt O'Leary present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Are there, in terms of the agenda, are there any topics that need to be added based on the 48-hour rule?
No.
Okay, the agenda stands as posted. We will, our first discussion is at 7:20 in a few minutes, even though I guess we could start it sooner. Administrative approvals, I guess. There's just one of them.
There are 4, and the new agenda is in the
Okay.
file folder now. The
The
latest agenda.
latest and greatest. Okay. Are they all,
There is one that I don't know. Courtney, there was one that you were doing. I don't know that you've gotten to it. 109 Nason Hill.
Let me check.
Yeah, I don't think so. So all but 109 Nason Hill have been approved.
okay, so for the record, 55 Russet Hill Road for a distribution box replacement, 3 Nason Hill Lane for a pavilion, and 4 Green Lane for a septic tank replacement are all approved administrative approvals. Is that correct?
Yes,
And 109 Mason Hill Road is yet to be done.
correct.
Okay, I've dealt with that for the record. And okay, let's see what else we got here. You have any site questions, short site questions?
No.
Okay, no site issues, okay. The annual report. Have people had a chance to review it? Anybody? Okay, I will, has anybody read it besides me?
I skimmed it.
Okay.
It looked very similar to prior years with the figures updated.
Right, and some new little things here or there. Thank you, Joyce. Are people gonna want to read it? We could vote to approve it so that we could submit it tomorrow and people can read it later if you have any quick comments.
I was fine with what was written.
Okay. Then I'll encourage the others to read it. It's fairly straightforward, and if you have any comments, to send them to Joyce and she'll submit it tomorrow afternoon.
Well, I don't work tomorrow, so
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Okay.
I'll send it up Monday.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I'll give you comments by Monday morning.
Where? Oh, right there. Right near annual report.
Yeah.
There. Okay, thanks.
I move to approve the submittal of the annual report, subject of any substantive issues come up from some members, to be submitted on Monday.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, aye. Courtney,
Aye.
Larry, you're muted. You're still muted. Jacob,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
good. Okay, 7:20. We now have a discussion on lots, I guess, 3 and 4 or 4, about some issues about a possible change in the proposed common driveway. This is just simply a discussion at this point. I guess, Bob, if you want to present something?
Sure. Well, I'm not going to present anything. I'm really going to just, it's pretty straightforward. I am working on, unfortunately, I've spoken with a few of you informally about perhaps moving the driveway for the Farm Road homes completely out of your jurisdiction. Unfortunately, I let my desire to do that get ahead of the engineering of that particular placement of the driveway, and unfortunately, it was just going to make a mess. Huge retaining.
1 second, hold on a second. Can you speak a little? He sounds very low. Is that the same problem for others?
I can turn my volume up if that's better. Let's.
Okay, I just didn't know whether others are having the same issue.
Is that better? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Better for me.
That's better.
Yeah, great. Sorry about that. Anyway, what I was saying is that unfortunately, my ability to move the driveway out of your jurisdiction, which I thought I was going to be able to do and come back with some really good news on that front, didn't work out. It was going to create massive retaining walls, and it would have been just kind of not, it just didn't make any sense from a lot of different perspectives. However, I have been trying to work on the scale of the driveway, the asphalt, the width of the driveway. And I think I'm making some progress on being able to cut that back. And I wanted to come to you all and see kind of what your reaction would be informally. Obviously, I need to come back and present a plan. But the concept would be that I would cut the asphalt down by 25%. And I would show you mitigation plantings that were also reduced by 25%. And I have those numbers in front of me if you wanted to be reminded of them. I don't imagine that you remember them, but I do have them up on my screen. And so I guess I wanted to get a sense. So my concept would be, if I can get this done, cutting the driveway down to 15 feet wide, and then showing the reduction, the 25% reduction in the mitigation plantings. The rest of the order of conditions would stay the same. So I guess I'm just looking for feedback before I formalize that, if it's possible, and I'm not 100% sure yet.
What's constraining the issue about the 20 versus 15-foot driveway?
Fire concerns about access for the fire truck. So in other words, I need to get Chief Ward to sign off on it. And I think he's leaning in that direction, but he has not formally signed off on it yet. But I didn't really want to push him until I kind of had an idea what you guys were thinking, because obviously it is in your purview.
Okay. Or I open it up to the public. Do the commissioners want to ask questions or voice have some discussion?
Or I guess
I'd ask a quick question too.
Okay.
So I'll go in line behind you.
You can
go ahead,
Joe.
Terry.
One of you go.
Well, okay. So the question I had is, I'm wondering what the relationship between the amount of asphalt and the mitigation plantings, because sounds like you'd actually be creating a larger area where it would be appropriate for buffer zone plantings versus the current plan.
I'm sorry, Jacob, I didn't quite understand the question.
So I guess if the proposal is to say like a 5-foot wide strip of the driveway, presumably on the pond side, is no longer asphalt, then that would be space where it would be appropriate for putting buffer zone plantings into that space. So I'm not sure I see the relationship to.
Well, I guess I was understanding from when you guys made this decision that you were very much looking at the amount of asphalt and the amount of intrusion into the buffer zone, and that there was actually a fairly linear relationship between those two things. If I was incorrect in what I heard that night, forgive me, but that's what I understood from you all.
Yes. Want to comment? I have a reaction to that, but I'll let other people go.
I'm curious to sort of hear everyone else's questions, but this is, am I recalling correctly, Bob, this is a shared driveway?
It would
And
be
there
a
aren't,
it would be a shared driveway among, 3 homes, yes.
and there aren't any concerns about potential uses of, I want to go in this direction while you want to go in the opposing direction? That
Well, 2
there's,
cars can
that's
actually
sufficient.
pass, 2 cars can pass on, if that's what you're, if that's where you're going, 2 cars can
That's what I
pass
wondered, yeah.
on a 15-foot driveway, yes. 2 fire trucks cannot, and that's the issue.
Mm-hmm. Right, and if,
Just, sorry, Terry, to interrupt, but the driveway bylaw in Sherborn requires a 14-foot driveway. So this actually would still be a foot wider than
acceptable,
the
yeah.
local requirement, yeah.
I just think how often, you know, an emergency vehicle comes with company and then they need to be in single file in motion. So, but that's I suppose, the fire department's
Hmm.
They
purview.
think they
Not our
spend a
job.
lot of time thinking about that, and appropriately so.
Yeah, it's not our jurisdiction for that issue. I would say that you probably, that the mitigation was not linear to the amount of road. At the time, it was just the mitigation. We wanted a narrower driveway just so that basically more buffer zone was available. And the mitigation planting area was simply a function of what area was available. And the density of that was proportional to the area that was available. At the time, we would have probably liked more mitigation given the area of what you're doing there. But yes, it's not to me, it's not at all proportional. And if I mean, I'd still say I'd like to see a narrower driveway because that's what we were asking for in the beginning, given that it's in the buffer zone. And so I would say, especially some of it's in the inner buffer zone. So I would,
It's in the inner buffer zone? No.
with the isolated land subject to flooding.
Yeah, okay.
So I see that you're coming to sort of see some sort of a deal, but in the end, I would actually say it was more a matter of, we always wanted a narrower driveway, and that the mitigation that you have there wouldn't have been any less at that time, and there might have been more mitigation because you would add some, as Jacob said, because the mitigation plantings are somewhat proportional to the area that was available to us. So I would, without wanting to seem at all greedy, I would say that from a wetland protection point of view, it would be nice to have it narrower and less in the buffer zone and still have the same amount of plantings. And the density will be spread out more, but that would still, rather than say you should do more plantings, I would just be happy to have a less impervious surface with the same number of plantings. I don't know what others think.
I agree. That was certainly my understanding as well, and I appreciate how you put that because I was trying to figure out how to say that. You did it quite nicely. But that being said, Bob, I do appreciate your efforts to reduce the amount of asphalt there. That's wonderful. I think we all agree that that's a good thing. I never saw there being a strict correlation between the amount of asphalt and mitigation. I would hope that you'd you know, go on with the original plan. I don't think it's overburdensome. I think it's appropriate for, the project. And I think that this is really a good result if this is the way this thing can end here. Less asphalt, same mitigation. I think that's a good result.
Michael, I have a question process wise. Is it easier to change it where the driveway is smaller or taking up less asphalt versus trying to make a change where you decrease the mitigation and it requires renoticing and basically relitigating the whole issue. Is- Is decreasing the disturbance and leaving the rest of the plan intact considered a minor kind of field change sort of thing?
I think it could be a minor.
So that's really up to you. You could because you're decreasing things, you could make it a plan change, and just like we did with the well access, you could make it a plan change and just put a plan to the file. But that wouldn't work, as Courtney said, if you were changing mitigation.
Right. I'm just thinking in terms of giving Bob all his options. What's the path of least resistance? You know, should he want or need to make changes? What potentially are the different pathways and how would he get there? So,
Yeah, I think it's. Obviously, we would like to have lessened impact, and that could be done as a very simple change, plan change.
right.
I don't know, I don't see that we have any appetite for changing the mitigation in any case. And therefore, that would require a moderate change and probably a hearing. But I don't see that there's any appetite for that on the commissioners so far.
Right. I mean, I think he's getting that idea from the discussion, but I'm just thinking even like you said, more basic, that if we had to touch the mitigation plan, we would need to hold another hearing.
True. And that's that. But, right, for example, if somebody came in with a change, like if you just filed for a change, an amended order of conditions on that basis, then sure, we'd probably vote to have it be another hearing. And then we'd vote on whether we would accept an amendment as part of that. But at this point, it's a discussion item, and I think we're giving some distinct feedback about this, and the fact that, right, I think it's an interesting issue from the very beginning when we're trying to minimize the buffer zone use, that the idea that now we could have a 15-foot driveway, which was brought up in the beginning, is something that which we accepted the opinion back then that the fire chief would not accept that, to the extent that.
And to clarify, Michael, that's what he said at the time. I've reduced the potential number of homes by 1, and that was what changed his mind.
I see. Okay. That's interesting how those issues, how that works for him.
I can't really explain why that
Right.
changed his mind, but that is what happened.
Yeah, okay. Okay, before we talk anymore, I guess we can also open it up to the public. I see somebody's raised a hand there. Brian Moore.
Hi, Brian Moore, 49 Farm Road. I had one brief comment and 3 observations about cans that have been getting kicked down the road. The first one is the plans that Bob is referencing and you guys have already voted on are over 3 years old on the delineation of the wetlands and the resource areas. And as you all know, we've made multiple submittals over the last few years about flooding and the disputed extent of the resource areas. And that's something that I hope the commission members will keep in mind and hopefully open up this hearing again so that can be reflected in the final order. Stormwater mitigation for the single family residences. On the most recent series of plans for 2 houses that you reviewed and acted on, there was portions of stormwater mitigation for that driveway were actually not on either one of the lots that were being constructed. They were kind of off on the other portion of remaining land. So that's something that I think, if I recall correctly, I mean, that those should be either on the lots that are being approved or should be addressed as part of a more like the fact that it's a phase development. And number three, at the meeting here, he just stated 3 lots are going out there. I'm only aware of plans for 2 so far. If he's applied for a 3rd lot or not, it would be interesting to know. And I think, I think at this point in time, after 3 years, we have 1 house built, 2 lots being discussed and approved. Another lot already somehow is, scope creep is coming. Now we're on lot number 4. At what point in time is the commission going to treat this as a phased project, which it has been all along for the last 3 years? Those are our comments, and I appreciate being heard tonight. Thank you.
Sure. Joyce, are you going to answer those things before I do?
Well, I could take a quick stab at it.
Okay,
First of all, there is an approved order of conditions for this project, and that fixes the wetland line, the delineation for a period of time. And they are still well within that time limit. And then as far as, this proposed project to limit the driveway, that's certainly something that we were looking for at the last hearing. And as far as phasing and stormwater goes, stormwater gets triggered at the DEP level over 5 houses, and he hasn't reached that point. So right now, these are single-family dwellings, and the DEP does not require stormwater mitigation. We would like to have it, but there's nothing that we can do to require it. And they did offer us some rain gardens and stormwater for the driveway at the last hearing, after hearing our concerns about the driveway, along with stone trenches along the edge. So Brian has some really good questions, but I think a lot of them were addressed at the last hearing.
Yeah, that's the way I feel, as well. I mean, and some of the delineation issues as recent as 2024. So therefore, I don't see, for questions you raised, Brian, I don't see any of them making a difference at this point. And yes, the stormwater stuff is something that the town needs to work on in this era of climate change and more significant weather events, that whether we do need to, something that's been discussed internally is whether we do need to have some more stormwater management sort of regulations at the local level to deal with projects that are smaller, but that still might have flooding issues onto roads. But I think we put in a condition even in the order for this lot 4 about watching out for how the stormwater was going to behave, and whether that was something that had to be monitored, in terms of, especially if anything was going to go onto the road, onto Lake Street, Farm Road, excuse me. So that's something of a little bit of a gap at the local level, but we also try to cover some of that, to monitor that as the project goes forward. So yeah, I don't know, that's probably, if anybody else wants to add any comments in response to Brian's points, feel free. Okay. So I guess we have an iPhone that wants to talk, whoever that is. iPhone, you can go forth.
Yeah, sorry, Michael, it's Mary Moore. I'm sorry, I can't get my video going. I just wanted to clarify, thanks Joyce for the explanation, but for the demarcation of the wetlands, can you just explain how it was extended? Because I thought it all expired in the fall, and I guess I just want to understand, like, has it been extended for 3 years because of a new NOI that was approved or issued, or what was the process that led to the extension?
So yes, the way that was extended was, well, if you recall, we didn't extend an order of conditions. He filed a new order of conditions for this house.
Okay.
And in doing so, we spent a lot of time analyzing the wetland line, both during, the first notice of intent went through and during the latter period of this, getting this notice of intent, new notice of intent approved. In addition to that, we were able to, we didn't extend it because we wanted to recognize the isolated land subject to flooding. And once we approved that order of conditions, that basically preserves our review for a period of 3 years.
Okay, all right, thank you for explaining that, I appreciate it.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay. Back to the commission. I don't know if anybody else wants to make a comment. I think I summarized it before about the fact that that there, I don't get the sense unless you formally apply that people would that the commission would look favorably upon lowering the mitigation, even with a narrower driveway. If anything, we would still appreciate the narrower driveway just to lessen the impact of the project to the extent that so it would be appreciated if that could still be pursued, even though and hopefully that has some benefits to you anyway in terms of lower cost. And so that it would be beneficial to both sides to have a smaller driveway. And that would be something that we could easily deal with in terms of amending the permit. So that's, if anybody has any other comments or whether I summarized it appropriately. Okay. Hearing none, was that clear enough, Bob?
Yeah, it seems like the simplest thing to do is to leave well enough alone, actually.
Well, I'd like to think that you could.
Every time I come in to see you guys, I get told that my wetlands lines need to change, and I haven't told you about all the houses, and I have. These are the most
no, you
communicated. This has been the most communicated project ever in the history of.
Hey, don't go on, Bob. That's not an issue between the commission and yourself.
I understand, but I got an earful a second ago about that, and I it's tiring.
It's part of the public process. But I would still encourage you that there might be some benefits to you yourself to have a narrower driveway, which would have benefits for the wetland protection. So I would.
Okay, well, I mean, I appreciate you guys taking the time to have the conversation, and
so I would hope you could
ultimately either just go ahead and build it, or I'll be back with a minor modification. I certainly will not be coming back with any modification that's not a minor modification. I can tell you that. I don't think that would.
Okay, I don't think that would be such a pitfall, but yes, I can imagine it from your point of view. Yeah. And I guess we have to learn from fire chief about rules about.
We can move on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not. The point you're making is that it should be black and white. If you have X number of homes, it's this, and Y number of homes, it's that. It's not. It's a judgment call on the fire chief's part, which is why it's not at all definitive, I guess I would say. I wish it were definitive because it'd be easier for everyone, right?
Yeah, it's got pluses and minuses, since sometimes situations can call for some flexibility. So yeah, it's not that simple. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Okay, moving on. We have now a little delay, but now I guess this is a new hearing that we're ready to open. Is that what I get here for the NRAD?
Yes, this is a new hearing.
Okay, and therefore, okay. Excuse me. Notice is hereby given that the Conservation Commission of the town of Sherborn will hold a virtual public hearing using Zoom technology. Now at 7:45, 7:30, as previously posted, on February 27, 2025. This Abbreviated notice of resource area delineation or ANRAD hearing will be held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborn Wetlands Bylaw to consider a proposal by the applicant Stamsky and McNary, Inc., for confirmation of the delineation of the existing wetland resource areas present at 81 Prospect Street, Map 5, Lot 72. This application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Office. All persons desiring to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak at this hearing. Do we have all the green cards and whatnot?
We do.
Okay. So the hearing is opened and the applicant has the floor. They want to present something.
Hi, thank you very much. So my name is Nathaniel. I'm with Stacy McNary. And just a quick correction, we are the representatives on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is the record owner, who is Alessandra Prezzoco and Chris Stokes. So if you would like, I can put the plan on the screen real quick. So as mentioned, this is an ANRAD for the property at 81 Prospect Street. So looking at the plan, Prospect Street is on the right. It's a single family house lot.
It's not showing. It's not showing. Try again.
Nope. Oh, oops. Sorry about that.
That's looking better.
There we go. I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
So I'll zoom in a little bit. This is a just over 4.3 acre lot off of Prospect Street. So looking at the plan to the right of the screen is Prospect Street, and the wetlands in question are in the heavy dashed dotted line. So there's one in the to the rear of the property, kind of along the back property line, represented by the stone wall, which runs down kind of north to south. And it's wetland flags 101 to 107. And then the other series is flags 1 through 15. That starts on the, get my compass, east of the property. Basically runs from Prospect Street all the way down to the end of the lot. So we're seeking confirmation of this delineation of the mentioned wetlands as presented on this plan. It totals 960 linear feet of edge of wetland. I know I had spoken with Joyce, the conservation agent, about this, and I believe as of us last speaking, I'll let her tell you, but she is still yet to go and review the wetland line. Regardless, this is the project, this is the request. Given that it's just a resource area delineation, I don't really have much to add other than that. I'm happy to take any questions, but with that, I will hand it back to the chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I gather this right. Joyce hasn't been able to go out there given the snow and the frozen soil conditions. So I guess do we have an extension from the applicant to deal with this weather?
We had an extension until tonight. We'd have to get another extension.
Okay. Is the applicant willing to grant the further extension?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, you'll have to submit it in writing and we'll have to take stock of how the weather goes. Did you see are there any wetlands to the top of the plan that you off site that you have to deal with?
No, so we've delineated everything within 100 feet that would impact this lot. So
Okay.
what's shown on the plan is everything within 100 feet of the property.
Right, and I can't see whether the plan clearly denotes what kind of wetland resource each one of those are, because we're
Yep.
trying to be much more
It's-
careful about that in terms
It's,
of,
it's bordering vegetated. That's the type.
okay, there's no other type of resource on this.
Nope,
I guess
just
we'll
the
find
two
out.
edge of wetlands. Yep.
Okay, well, I'll find out from Joyce when she does some checks.
Right.
Okay, I guess at this point, it's just a matter of waiting for when this can be done. So is that basically it, Joyce?
Yes, I'm going out and checking. It looks good out there for the most part, except when you walk into the woods. So maybe it'll warm up for next week. Maybe things will be better then, or maybe the beginning of the following week. I will contact Nathaniel and the homeowner to schedule a time to go out to walk the line.
Okay.
And we'll see then.
Okay, Does anybody on the commission have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay. Is that you raising your hand, Steve? Okay. You're muted, so I can't tell what you're saying, but, okay. And I guess, is there anybody in the public who wants to comment on this? Okay, hearing none. So I guess we'll try to just continue the hearing to the next meeting and see how lucky we are with the weather and such. And then we could decide then whether, if not, whether it has to be continued to the meeting after, if you can't get out there on the proper conditions. What do we want to continue this to?
So I can't give you a time at this moment. But I read the Wetlands Protection Act and we do not have to give it a time certain. We have to continue it to a date certain, and then we assign the time. So I would like to continue it until the next date, and then Deborah and I will confirm the times. We have a number of things that are on, we're looking to get onto the next agenda.
Okay. Are you around, Nathaniel, is March 13th? Something that. okay.
Yeah, just whatever the next date is would be our preference, and we can
Right.
see if we've been able to review it up until then.
Okay, fine. Then I move to continue this hearing till March 13th, 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I. Courtney,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
you got it. Jacob,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Okay, so hopefully we'll see you next time, weather permitting.
That's the hope. Thank you very much. I'll see you then.
Sure.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Okay, now I will. Okay, reopening the hearing to extend an order of conditions for DEP file 283-0389 on Hunting Lane, map 11, lot 2 and 0-3B for Gary Barsky Realty Trust. So I'm reopening that hearing, and the applicant has requested continuing it to the next hearing. Is that what?
No, to the March 27th.
Okay. Fine. Okay. I guess there's no issue with just doing it at this point, because we could still decide if it gets too far out. Okay. Does anybody have any comments before I move to continue it? Okay, I don't think we're supposed to comment since they've requested a continuance. Okay. I move to continue this hearing for the extended order of conditions to March 27th.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I. Courtney,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Kurt.
Aye.
I think I got everybody. Okay. Next thing on the agenda are some discussion items. We've done the annual report. Land management. What is the status? Is that land management group gonna meet at some point, or is there any updates to know about from either Steve or Courtney? Or I don't know if Terry's part of it at some point.
No update right now.
Is there any planning for
No, I just put this on just because it was, just in case there was anything to discuss.
oh yeah, no, I don't mind it. It's just trying to figure out whether
I don't believe there's an update at this point.
yeah, I'm just wondering, I guess, hopefully Joyce, you can now join the group. And yeah,
I've talked to Kelly, and he's asked me to get a hold of one of the people who have been working with land management to go over some of their scheduling programs. And I need to do that
Okay.
fairly soon.
We have the spreadsheet.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, it's just a matter, I guess it'll, at some point, we'll have to deal with the budgeting. I don't think it'll come up in this warrant period, or budget period about what we're doing going forward. So, okay. Well, let us know when, there's something planned. Moving on, the annual report. Okay, we don't have any side issues.
We
Then,
have two warrants, but I didn't specifically put them on the agenda. I put them in the folder, but not,
yeah, I can't tell what to do about that, actually. I mean, normally they just go, once you approve them, they just go anyway.
Well, we're not voting on them or anything, so we can just mention them at the next meeting.
Okay, do that.
yeah.
Okay, then, again, well, we don't have announcements on this. She could put announcements on the agendas. Because if anybody's still interested in going to the MACC conference, as I texted. Yeah, I was decided to go after seeing a few interesting things there. Some stuff on this wildlife habitat issue to see whether it's really something practical we could do vis-a-vis our buffer zone stuff on wildlife habitats, since that often seems to be the difficult part when we're getting unaltered buffer zone developed. Is seems more straightforward how to deal with the other interests, but the wildlife habitat seems to be the thornier one that we haven't quite figured out how to really address. So that's one session there, besides something on climate and wetland stuff, climate change. So if anybody goes, I'll be going. It can be a ride. Minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. I've read them. Courtney's read them. Joyce looked at them. Jacob's looked at them. Does anybody else want to look at them?
I've looked at 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I just did 9-5.
Two.
Okay.
I've skimmed them.
Okay. So I could give you a few minutes, Matt, if you want to go through others, or Steve, if you want to look at the third one. I'll pull it up. Depends what everybody wants to do before we vote on them.
Just we move ahead and
Um,
27 was well done.
yes, Courtney did a wonderful job on these. Although, do we want to keep the adverb wildly?
And that was a direct quote.
I like it.
I assumed it was.
Yeah.
Use
Normally I
that
don't
more.
let those go through, but I decided that it must have been the word used at the meeting.
227 is so brief. There couldn't possibly be any problems with that one. So I mean, I'm very comfortable moving forward with all 3.
Okay. I move that, whoops, hold on, let me go see here. Okay. I move that we approve as presented the final minutes for January 9th, 2025. November 7th, 2024. And September 5th, 2024.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I, Courtney,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Steve,
aye.
Stuart,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Okay, we have, boy, we are really getting caught up here. We are probably one of the most caught up departments in town we get here. Thank you again, Courtney, for your hard service over the last year. To get us to this point. Okay. Any other issues before we amend this meeting? Adjourn, excuse me. I guess I'm ready to adjourn. So anything else? Hearing none, I move to adjourn at 8 o'clock.
Second,
Okay, any other further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I, Courtney,
aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Jacob,
Hi.
Matt,
I
Kurt,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
meeting adjourned.